So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about security. So I'm really excited. I really like this topic because for the last year in France and everywhere else, there's been all these reports about you've got a camera in your home so anyone can access it. You're giving data so insurance companies are going to steal it and know how healthy you are. And there's all these really interesting problems where we're creating a lot of data that we talked about this morning, but are we sure who has access to it, and are we sure that the people who are making the products are making them safe? So I'm really excited to bring on two huge players in this IoT security space, Freescale and Electric Imp. So please give me a warm welcome for Alex and Hugo. Very comfortable chairs, aren't they? Yeah. So we were talking in the past week or two, getting ready for this, and I told you guys I really wanted to talk about, are our products safe? Can they be safe? You know, we seem to have this problem in tech where we always shoot up the capabilities, and then Target's data servers get hacked, and everyone's credit card numbers are gone, and then we're like, oh yeah, security. We forgot that every time we make these new services, we have to, you know, make sure we're not exposed to threats. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about is, what are the threats that we're facing today, specifically related to IoT? New devices, 25 to 50 billion devices by 2020. So what are the security threats that you guys are seeing today? Actually, before that, let me step back one sec. Please introduce how you guys relate. So a little bit more about Freescale for people who don't know it, and a little bit more about Electric Imp. Alex, why don't you take it away?
So I work for Freescale, and I head the networking division within EMEA. And we're basically a semiconductor supplier that provides microcontrollers that go into many of the products that you are seeing in the tech lab. So very, very low power MCUs that cost less than $1, all the way up to microprocessors that you can see in a 380 Airbus that could cost several hundred. So we provide silicon, and like one of the speakers said, more and more software, because it's a combination of both hardware and software. We will discuss the optimum solution to the IoT security problem.
So, and hello, that's working. Electric Imp is a platform as a service. Essentially, we provide a substrate to build connected products on top of. And part of that substrate, a very important part, is the security part. So our platform is a cloud service and an embedded operating system and all the management tools to look after and deploy these devices in the field.
So would you consider yourself something like Parse for IoT? Is that sort of where you create this subsection, this suite of tools for people to build off of?
So we're actually much more a life cycle management. Okay. So we manage everything from how a product's built in the factory to how it operates in the field, how it's updated in the field, how it's kept secure in the field. So data flows through our service, but we don't do any data services. We partner with analytics companies for that sort of stuff.
Perfect. So really quick, so yeah, coming back to my first question, what kind of security threats are you guys seeing in your part of the value chain? Okay,
maybe let me start with some of the famous ones that started and really started back in 2010 when we started to see the first attacks into industrial type of equipment, because before that most of the attacks have been targeted for banking type of systems. But in 2010, one of the most famous ones is the Stuxnet Trojan horse that was detected in about 15 factories in Iran, which basically made them shut down. And in fact, when you trace that Trojan horse virus that was found there, it started through a Windows PC systems. And once it got there, it started to look for very specific chips coming from Siemens that are in basically every factory in the world, that very, very popular chips called PLCs, programmable logic controllers. And once it detected one of those, it actually infected it and made it unusable. And I mean, I don't want to speculate, but a lot of the factories that were working in the nuclear in the nuclear programs in Iran was actually shut down for a while. So that was just an example. Another also example, very famous one is the, I think it was somebody from Microsoft, the Xbox 360 with the glitch, the glitch attack where you actually inject a new clock source and you basically allow the device to, or put the device to decode a completely different instruction set than what you were supposed to do. And in fact, when you look at, when you go to some of the makers event, a lot of people actually use Xbox in order to program because you can actually play with it and load a homebrew Linux on it and do a lot of fun applications on it. So those just examples that starting in 2010, and of course with the explosion of IoT, some of the numbers that we hear in this conference. 30 billion devices connected, and a lot of them are going to be running IoT devices. And we believe that at least 50% of those new IoT devices are going to be developed by startups, like the ones that we have here. And what are the focus on a startup is time to market, go fast into production, as we can see. So security is not their number one care about. So that's one of the challenges that we have today with IoT, and also some of these devices that you see, the sensor networks. These are devices that need to function with a coin battery. It needs to last for years. Some of them, they're very, very low cost. So we need to provide security systems that are extremely well suited for that, because we don't have the luxury of a big PC with a lot of power. So those are the type of challenges that we have.
Okay, Hugo?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff on security. I mean, I was actually going to say the FOSCAM example, the one where you had an ODM who was essentially shipping a Linux-based reference design, hadn't done really any security work on it. And there's a lot of devices there which are actually being built by people who take a reference design without really understanding it and go, it seems to work. They do no security testing, ship it out, and they have no way of addressing that problem once it's in the field. And I think one of the biggest things with IoT security is the first thing you have to do is work out your secure update mechanism, which ideally doesn't involve the user.
Yeah.
Because users don't upgrade things. It's just you have too many things to do than go around checking if there's an update for every single one of your devices in your home.
Yeah, exactly. We had a really good example of the not secure, solving a security crisis earlier today. Diego from Autodesk was talking about Tesla when they found out their cars were catching on fire and killing people. When the cars were having issues because of a hardware problem, which was the suspension was too low, because they had set up this secure update on the software side, they were actually able to push a software update to all of their cars that solved the issue.
Essentially, they made it go down again afterwards, but you have to basically agree to a disclaimer on screen if you want it to go low.
Yes, yeah, and so what you're saying is the idea is to get beyond that and get to a point where you don't actually need the user's permission to make updates.
Yeah, I think as the number of devices proliferate, it's not going to be it's when you leave your home, you're worried about certain things. You're worried about updating the firmware on your light bulbs. Is that possibly going too far?
Yeah.
I mean, you might remember your router, although no one does. Has anyone updated their router in the last year? Updated the firmware? No, so it's not a fun task.
No, and I agree with that. But at the same time, people are also reticent to create this sort of open, even a secure thread that allows a company to make updates without them being aware of it.
I think that actually is how the future is going to have to be. If you want security, there has to be a level of trust. But the point is that there needs to be, the people need to gain the trust and know that the company doing the updating has got their best interests in heart. They've got cryptographic protections to prevent hackers from mass updating stuff. Yeah. So it just requires design and forethought. Definitely.
Well, how many people can imagine themselves letting Philips update their Hue without them being aware of it? Are people okay with that by a raise of hands? You're not worried about Philips infecting your light bulb and it blowing up when you're sleeping or something? No? A little bit? Okay, so I'm just,
I mean,
I'm shooting for the skepticism.
To some extent, if Philips did that and they pushed out an upgrade that was bad and caused, then it's a clear, you have a clear case against Philips for breaking your stuff.
Of course, yeah, that's true.
But it's a lot of hassle still.
Yeah.
Maybe you've put light bulbs up in the 20-foot ceiling and you can't reach them anymore.
Yeah.
But it's still possibly better than the alternative, which is.
Yeah, I mean, if every one of these lights was connected, you couldn't possibly imagine opting into every single light in a stadium or something being updated.
And I agree with Hugo. I mean, is one of the beauties about these software platforms like Android, iOS, and Java is that people are finding bugs in their applications, and you get an update to fix that.
Yeah.
And the IoT, I agree.
Yeah, but IoT seems to go deeper, because we can talk about light bulbs, and light bulbs are pretty self-contained, but what about things like infotainment on airlines? You were talking about Airbus 380. There was the security specialist who recently found out, who was recently arrested because they found out that he had been hacking directly into the avionics system via the infotainment system as a passenger on a plane, basically showing that from the passenger seat of a plane, without touching anything else, he was able to, via the box that's underneath your seat, hack into the avionics system, and he could actually see messages going from the control tower and back. So is that a hardware issue? Is that a software issue? Is that a user issue? Is that avoidable?
I think it sounds like a very badly designed security system, really.
Oh, terrible.
It's like, we have a mission-critical side and an entertainment side, and let's just join them together, because why? I mean, that really should be the question that people are asking at that point.
That's right. Because, just to give an example, when two planes are actually going into a collision trajectory, the systems are made so the computers actually take control of it, and they don't allow the pilots to take control in that situation. We can secure things pretty well. Again, it depends on what's your budget. In this case, I mean, we're talking about we have the budget, we have the power to do that, power consumption, energy. Again, coming back in the IoT is challenge is how do you do that to a very small, low power, low cost type sensor that is going to, it costs a few dollars and it needs to last for a long time. That is really the challenge.
So those are the bigger threats today, are the things that you might not necessarily think are life threatening. Things like cameras in your home that you're going to just stick against a wall and not actually plug into a socket, or.
Well, I mean, there's threats to the operation of the device. Like, is it going to behave like it should be? And there's also threats to the rest of the internet and maybe your home network. Because if a device gets compromised and it's on your home LAN, maybe it's got a secure tunnel out to the internet, and someone's using that to probe inside your firewall.
Yeah.
So there are problems there where people go, well, there's a story recently, who would hack my toaster? And it's like, well.
Depends on what your toaster's connected to.
Well, your toaster has AC power, and if it's a network one, it has a network connection, which means it could be sending spam, it could be sending denial of service packets, it could be doing anything. It's a node. It doesn't matter that it's a toaster. The person who hacked it may not even know it's a toaster. Yeah. It's just, it's running Linux, and it's there.
Yeah.
But I just want to give hope to the to the audience that have it, that maybe not an expert on this subject, but we do have solutions. We have solutions from that start from the hardware that we supply, and they are complemented by companies that provide software and the complete, like Hugo's company that provides a complete solution from the node all the way to the cloud. So we do have solutions that start with very specific hardware that we put, like I say, in very cost-effective microcontrollers, less than $1. There we have, starting from the hardware, we have security encryption accelerators that can be exploited by the software applications in order to be very effective in terms of power consumption and overall cost in order to secure your designs. And if you are a startup company that you don't see your value added in the security portion of it, again, we can provide, from a semiconductor supplier, we provide application nodes, we provide reference codes, And of course, then the real experts can come in and provide really a complete solution if you want to completely outsource that aspect of your design and concentrate on the cool application that you want to put into the market. So we do have solutions. We have been securing the internet for forever, and what we're doing is scaling down that security that has made e-commerce flourish. I think 10 years ago we were asking people, would you give your credit card? And some people were saying, oh, I feel today we don't even ask this question anymore. So
you give your thumbprint and it's over.
Yeah, so we had that. We have that experience, and what we're doing now is taking that security level and scaling it down so that it's cost effective and energy effective.
Well, and coming back to solutions, I mean, we were talking earlier, startups don't have this. It's not the first thing you go to. Security issues are what we would consider a good problem to have. That implies you have enough users that someone will invest time in trying to do bad things to them, or do bad things to you via them, or use them to do bad things to other people.
I mean, I think every startup wants to get bigger, and it's like the problem is the reputational damage. If your devices are known to be easily hacked, or maybe used in a hack, or whatever, is huge, and it's very hard to recover from.
I guess the worst thing you can imagine is finding out you were on some news report about like the example device that someone used to like make a house overheat or something. You know, you don't want to. And so, but I guess the more interesting question is, we were talking about prototyping and going from prototyping to shipping a unit, and really once you have units in the field, that's the do or die moment. So at what point does a startup first need to start thinking about this? And I know it'd be great to say day one, but it really isn't day one, because at day one you're designing the product shell and maybe figuring out what components to use. At what point does this come?
Well, that is day one. It's the making sure that the components you pick before you get too attached to them, before you go like, but it's working on this one, I don't want to swap. You pick something which is capable of doing secure signed boot, for example, or has on chip, on die, actually not on chip. There's a lot of people put memory inside the same package and go, oh, it's secure. And then there's guys I know who have nitric acid who will pull they'll get to the bond wires and pull your code out. Having on-die memory or a secure boot, which is a well-tested secure boot, a lot of chips have that now.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have anti-tampering detection. So when you start to see with sensors on the chip and it starts to see that there is an attack of trying to read certain pins, or trying to inject a new clock, or trying to access the debug pins to get in there. You need to have anti-tampering methodologies to lock the chip. So yes, you need to, like I agree with Hugo, almost from day one to already choose, in the case of many of these devices, a microcontroller that has a minimum set of features, security features, and I really would also suggest that you get help from a security companies as well.
So you think as important as design, as important as your crowdfunding campaign, or wherever you happen to be in your life cycle of your company, security you can't, if you make a decision not taking security into a factor, eventually you're going to be in a position where it's continued growth or be secure, and then you don't want to be in that position.
One of the hard bits is like going, hey, I'd like to raise some money to secure the products we have in our field. In the field already, that's not something an investor wants to hear, that you have insecure products in the field. They're looking at liabilities, they're looking at risks.
Yeah.
Those are important things to have right. And actually, some of the things like making a good upgrade system, I've worked on lots of products from, the iPhone, MP3 players back in the day, Nest thermostat and stuff, that really, actually one of the best uses of engineering time is making sure you have a great upgrader system at the beginning, because the number of hours or man weeks it'll save you. How many times is a developer going to update a device? When they have the first 10 devices go out to field testers, if you could push updates to those in the field within a few seconds and get debug back from them and do stuff like that, how many weeks of development does that save? Yeah. And it's really just putting the effort in at the right time.
So what would be your recommendation for a startup? Like, what are the pitfalls to avoid? Like, can you name like microcontrollers you wouldn't use? Can you name the common? I don't know if we want to name and shame, but what are the things that you've seen, especially in young hardware companies, where you go, you're clearly asking for trouble?
There are the ones which have the clearly labeled debug ports on the PCB. That's not a good idea usually. If you just go on YouTube, get some of the DEF CON videos. I mean, go to DEF CON if you can. Go to Las Vegas, it's fun.
Yeah.
You can legitimately expense it if you're making a hardware product, an IoT product. It's like that's a legitimate expense going to Las Vegas. And actually just see what people do to other products and think, could someone do this to mine? Yeah. And actually, it doesn't necessarily need to cost you anything to avoid some of the common pitfalls. I mean, it would be nice if there was a list of things to do, but it will change for every product. So
as soon as there's a list, someone's going to find something that's not on the list to do to you, and the list is constantly evolving. Actually, I'm curious about DEF CON, because I watch the videos on YouTube every year. That's my little passion, is watching how people, how the guy got his computer back from the guy who stole it. They did it a while ago, and it was like 3 years back. How many people have seen any video from DEF CON, and of those people, how many people have been to DEF CON? Okay, so we're going to CES. I know that. How many people went to CES? Okay, so we've got some clear lack of Las Vegas travel going on. Okay, if you haven't checked out DEF CON, I won't promote a lot of conferences that I don't organize. Definitely check out DEF CON, DEFCON. You don't have to be a security specialist to understand when someone tells you, look, there's a hole, I exploited it. That's pretty much every single video.
And this year, I've done a security talk, and the number of sessions on IoT security essentially over the past 5 DEF CONs, and like last year it doubled the number of sessions at DEF CON on hacking connected devices.
In sheer number of devices, it's becoming a bigger percentage.
Number of devices, and now they even have a device hacking village this year, and I sincerely hope none of the products based on our stuff are in there, but you never know. That's the thing with DEF CON. You have to go just in case.
So have you discovered holes in your product at DEF CON?
No, we haven't actually. I mean, one of the things we did before we launched was just before we shipped our first products, we were at DEF CON, and DEF CON has a public Wi-Fi network. Now, if you imagine a public unencrypted Wi-Fi network at a hackers conference, it's like a shark tank. Yeah. You put your device online there, and within a fraction of a second, there are fake DHCP servers and people nmapping every port, and all this stuff, and it's like our product actually got warm from all the TCP resets it was sending, because it was transmitting so many session resets. It was like, why is it running hot? It doesn't usually run hot. But fine. Yeah, there are things you can do there which is interesting. It's like everyone's going to try and hack you if you go on the network.
It's Disneyland for black to white hat hackers, basically. They see a new device and they just go play.
And there's something called Black Hat, which is the week before DEF CON, which is about 10 times this expensive.
Yeah.
But is the proper suits and sessions type of thing. But almost all the same talks happen at DEF CON and DEF CON. The interesting thing about DEF CON is you turn up with cash at the door. You don't give any name or anything. You just give them like $250 cash, and they give you a badge, and that's it. Which is quite nice. It's just different for a conference.
Very secure.
There's no information transfer.
That's very cool.
And also, just to help, I mean, Freescale does that, but our competitors as well. We will hold regularly workshops, which are really free workshops with our software partners. Which I will consider, a one-day security 101 type class. Freescale does that, and my competitors as well on that space. We do it in a very regular basis. So I would encourage people to go and assist on some of those, and then decide, if they need to get more help, or is an area where they want to invest themselves or not. But there is help out there.
There's one other thing to say though about security is it's not, it's obviously the initial design is really important. Yeah. The other thing is, remember, security, maintaining it will cost money over time. There's really nothing, there's no system which is, it could be completely secure the day it's shipped and completely broken the day after. And the Heartbleed thing last year was, up until the Heartbleed was announced, every web hosting company, every person, every sysadmin who had a fully patched server went, no, I'm fine. I've got the latest version of everything, no known bugs. Heartbleed was announced, they went, and rushed to patch, because you went from fully secure to fully insecure in the matter of seconds, of one announcement.
Yeah. And so switching gears a little bit from a consumer side, because this is certainly, we'll be talking more about this tomorrow, this privacy in the connected age, and from a security point, I sense a lot of people who are hesitant to give over their health data, to give over, the more devices that get more vertical, the more potential to open ourselves up. And so, of the products that you see on the market today, without necessarily naming names, do you guys use IoT devices? Do you feel they're secure? Do you feel that someone can comfortably give over their, their health data about how often they go to the doctor, how often they run? Or how comfortable are you with that today? And where do you think we are on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of?
I think people are learning, again, because of the, like I said, we believe about 50% of all the IoT devices being developed today are from very small companies that, we've seen it here, they're a shop of 1 man, 2 men, maybe, growing, but security is not at their top level. So we need to secure that. I mean, we're at the very beginning, so.
So about a 3 or a 4 for you. Hugo, are you?
I have an Apple iWatch now, and
that's the easy one. But
I'm thinking that Apple do take security very seriously. Yep. They have a clearly stated policy as well of like what we don't want to know any of the data. Yep. I actually at DEF CON hung out with the guy who does the security stuff. If anyone's ever read the iCloud document on the iCloud key management, it's actually surprisingly comprehensive. And Apple said, no, this is why when the NSA come to us, we can't give them anything. We have no access. Yeah. And the zero knowledge part is great. The problem is that makes it very hard for people to build services which leverage the data, because you're going to have to authenticate against every single one to get that. And I think a lot of the big data things will get more powerful when people open up a bit, but it is very hard to open up with your own information.
Yeah, I mean, the day Apple, this idea of passive updates and not having to authenticate with the user, that both enables easier security updates and opens up more problems. So it's kind of a Pandora's box situation,
There are always trade-offs. Yeah. That's the issue. There's always trade-offs. But I think, there's interesting things happening with anonymized data like HealthKit, which is an interesting angle, because if it's anonymized, you can still, society as a whole can draw value from it. Yeah. Which I think is important.
Awesome. Any final thoughts for hardware startups, for people thinking about building companies, for people with products in the field? Any patchwork things you can do once the product's out there? What are your final thoughts on security?
That really honestly evaluate what you've got out there, and if there's anything you can do to improve it, spend the money to improve it. It may not be possible to do a lot, but there's the whole, if your users aren't upgrading,
do you recommend having, paying a security firm to try to hack your product? Is it that level? If I put out a hardware product today and I've got 10,000, 12,000 users, maybe 20,000, is it worth it to go to, is it at that level, or can you do something before that?
You can do something before that, but I think the problems with security firms is that there's no standard for security firms. A lot of them are 2 hackers in a shed, which is fine, and they will find holes just as much as a 100-person company that will charge you 10 times the amount. There are cheap ways of doing it. Just take it to DEF CON and see if you can find interested people. You buy them beer and they hack your product. That can work as well.
So that's the $250 solution.
That's a lot of beer, even at Vegas.
No, I just want to, give it really encourage the people. We have been securing internet for a long time, so we know how to do it. Yeah. You just need to take in consideration from day one out of your design, and work with your hardware, software partners, and we will find a solution. We do have solutions. This is not something that is not achievable. So
awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to come all the way out here to Paris to talk with us about this. And I'm looking forward to our secure IoT future. Let's give him a round of a hand.